Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Best Bets show here, the three-man weave, talking games, talking ball, all things college hoops. That's right. It's Tuesday. It's a conference tournament week. It's not the conference tournament week, but it is a conference tournament week. Kai McCune is here. Matt Cox is here. Fellas, before we get to any takeaways, shout out to the best sponsor in the land, Circa Sports, Circa Las Vegas. Make sure you download the Circa Sports app for all your betting needs. You're going to get some good prices on there, some good lines that are typically slightly off the market. So definitely check that out. Come out to Vegas and hang with us over Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend. We will be there at Circa doing live shows from the pool, from Stadium Swim. And of course, sign up for our contest, our giveaway. If you haven't done it yet, what are you waiting for? It's easy. It's free. It takes 5 seconds. First name, last name, email address. Boom, you're in. Can win 3 free nights at Circa from March 28th to March 31st. Again, we'll be out there. So you'll be hanging out with us, watching basketball games and baseball if you want to. They're doing like a big opening day thing on Thursday. They're going to have like people selling Cracker Jacks in the sports book. And that's real. I'm not making that up. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully we see you out there. All right.
Here for that.
That's it. Shout out to Circa. Matt, do you have any takeaways from watching ball last night? Your Dukies look pretty good.
It did look good. Again, I just don't know how much of that is ACC aided, Jim, but I do think there's some real mojo to that squad. Finding some depth. Shocking. John Shire using the talent on his bench. Who would have thought
Sean
that
Stewart.
could be a possible good thing? Yeah, Sean Stewart, a little breakout starting to emerge there. Like this ball club, Jim. Feels a little deja vu to last year when they kind of had it going on late, ran into that literal brick wall of Tennessee, and who knows what would have happened. They got a better draw, but I like the Devils. The other thing Kyle mentioned is these seismic comebacks. Baylor, Texas. Texas was shooting the lights out. All of a sudden, I look up, and then Baylor's up 10 in the final minute. The BYU thing talked about over the weekend. It's just like these teams, when they feel the walls caving in, they cave and they fold pretty easily. I don't know if this is just like an anecdotal thing I'm noticing or just the volatility in these in-game swings is pretty, it's a lot to take in.
It's March, man. March is mad. And conference tournament
That's
time.
what it is.
Conference tournament time is a joyous time. I'm so happy that we got conference tournament ball. I mean, just watching even the A-Sun yesterday was intensity that you just don't see in the regular season. The Queens Florida Gulf Coast game, intense. Sloppy, but intense. And also the A-Sun, again, an impossible league to bet. Both dogs won outright yesterday in the conference tournament. Probably plenty of that coming through the rest of that conference tournament. It's an impossible league. So, again, good luck to you if you decide to bet that one. There's plenty of other conference tournaments to bet, though. Remember that. Okay, back to you, Jim.
Yeah, it sounds like, Kai, you won't be having a best bet on this show from the A-Sun.
Correct.
You're not going to venture into there?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Good note. Hey, Brock Cunningham made me laugh last night. He got frustrated a lot and fouled out on a flagrant foul. It rocked. See ya. Good riddance. I got to lean into this bit, guys. I'm out on Brock Cunningham. Baylor upside, really real. They were incredible late down the stretch. Their offense can go nuclear. All right, guys, speaking of nuclear offenses, let's get into the outline. Purdue at Illinois, the headliner. I know Dick Stillwagon in the chat is hyped for a little Boilermaker talk. Kai, Illinois actually the favorite in this game at home in Champaign, -2 at Circa right now. Total 164, obviously very high for a Big Ten game, but it's Illinois. So what are you looking at in this game? What's the key matchup or what's your angle on Purdue, Illinois?
Yeah, Purdue, if you are a motivation angle guy, Purdue pretty much locked into a 1 seed in the tournament. They are locked into the 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament.
And wait, they are?
Yes, Jim, they are.
Yes. Sweet. I didn't know that. All right.
It's not even close. Really?
They're 2 games up with 2 to play.
No, 2 up, 2
I
to
thought
play.
they're 3 games up.
No, don't you tease me.
All right, we'll have to check that one. I mean, they've already tweeted the banner, man. I know that
Okay.
is that just a share, but I thought they were.
Kai, don't you dare trust social media accounts for the source of truth there. But yeah, they
Don't
are
trust
2 to play.
Purdue's.
But they are up to a 2 to play, and I believe they clinched the share. And they're not
Yeah, I'm
clinched the
sorry.
outcome.
Okay, I spoke a little too soon, but they're still okay. I don't know the tiebreaker in it, but I know for sure they are at least tied for first at the end of the Big Ten regular season. They beat Purdue once. Terrence Shannon, not part of that game, obviously. That was I think the first game he was not in the lineup. We were impressed by how they came back in that game, right? Purdue was up big, up by 19, and they won by 5 points. Incredible fight by the Illini. They held Edey to 5 shots in that game, so maybe, Matt, they found a bit of a formula to defend the big man. They do have a lot of size to sort of match up with them in the paint. I mean, match up in quotes. Nobody can actually do it effectively, but they do lack ball pressure, and that's the problem. They can't turn Purdue's guards over, and we've seen that be the key to success against Purdue over the last couple of years. I do kind of lean Illinois at home in this quote-unquote spot. It's a much bigger game for them, but Purdue's matchup, I think, is a big issue, and again, the lack of ball pressure worries me about Illinois.
Yeah, Purdue is 5-2 as an underdog since 2022, basically the first year of Zach's reign as being awesome, and 12-6 against ranked opponents for those that care about that angle. But I think point being, when they're kind of pinned against a big time team and a hype spot, Purdue is going to probably play up here. So I tough to see Purdue laying over here, Jim. I think Illinois' offensive surge is real. I just think their defense is completely porous at times. The matchup chess match both ways will be fascinating, right? Coleman Hawkins spreading out Edey, and how can Edey punish from the other end? I kind of like Purdue here. Just the concept of getting them as a dog, kind of a prove it type opportunity for them, right? They're probably tired of hearing about UConn and Houston. I think they kind of want to reassert themselves as one of the top dogs in the league.
Yeah, well, and it's tough because the style, I think, is so kind of contrary. I like Illinois wants to get out in transition. They're devastating when they run. Purdue's much more comfortable in the half court. They want to play through Edey, who controls tempo. Typically, we lean towards the home team having a better ability to control tempo. And Illinois has been an over machine, fellas. I am going to best bet the over right off the bat here, 164. 9 straight Illinois games have gone over, 13 of the last 14, 17 of the last 19. In quad 1 and quad 2 games this year, they have the best offense in the country per Bart Torvik, 17 of those games, and the number 159 defense. So when they play good competition, they score, but they don't stop you. Purdue has a number 4 offense in that same parameter. So I think we see mega efficiency, and with Illinois wanting to run, potentially some fouling late. Heck, Matt, maybe we even get an overtime. I would take that. I'll accept that as a potential out for my over bet here. But that is
no chance you get that, Jim. You should never bank on that. That'd be too good to be true. No.
Yeah. Over 164. One of Jim's best bets for the day. Moving on to an even higher total somehow. Alabama at Florida, one of these SEC track meets, total of 175.5, Mateo. Kind of like the Illinois-Purdue game, the short home favorite here. Florida laying 1.5 to take a little bit of money up in Gainesville. Latrell Wright's status is up in the air. We saw a good Riley Kugel game for Florida over the weekend, despite the meltdown against the 1-3-1 zone at South Carolina. What are your thoughts on Alabama at Florida?
I kind of like Florida, just betting the home team here in a good spot, sort of a win that sort of seals them into a pretty safe spot in the bracket. 175.5 at Circa. I'm just laughing at that number still, Kai. Alabama away from home has at least been mortal, although they've been, I think, a little better than people realize. At home is where they've got most of their juju going, though. So I think it's a good spot to fade Bama, but the price is about right. Like, I think it implies that Bama's a slightly better team on a neutral. I think I agree with that. Nothing profound here. I think it's a pretty good market equilibrium with the side and the total. Boring analysis for me. Over to you.
Yeah, enormous total. I still kind of like the over. It's worth noting, though, game 1 would not have gone over in regulation. Overtime pushed it there. It was about 10 points under the point total at the end of regulation. The pace, maybe not quite as high as we expected in game 1, but also outside shooting was horrible. 17 for 62 combined in that game. It was just brick. Florida had control, if you guys remember, at Alabama in the second half. They let it slip away. I kind of lean them getting back here. I think Wright's is healthy for Alabama. I don't think he's a big needle mover. Obviously, he's important for the rotation for Alabama, but I don't think he's a 2-point, 3-point swing, anything like that. Florida generally does run teams pretty well off the line, or at least make it tough to shoot open threes. They obviously need to shore up the rebounding, though, too. Bama grabbed 44% of their offensive rebounds, of their misses in game 1. Florida can't let that happen again, Jim. I don't think they will. I lean towards Florida shoring that end up and scoring enough here to overcome Alabama.
Yeah, I like Florida here. I think your point about like the fact that they were controlling that game matters. Pat in the chat says Alabama started 1 for 16 from 3. Yeah, that was part of it. Crimson Tide obviously love to launch from beyond the arc. Wrightsell gives them that 45% corner sniper that helps space out a lot of the driving lanes. But I just think Florida's playing really well right now, despite that little collapse at South Carolina. I think they're going to look at the film and realize they were just completely befuddled by a zone switch up that Lamont Paris pulled. Great coach, potentially national coach of the year there. Experienced guards just kind of broke down. I don't see Alabama breaking that out and being able to take advantage of the Gators the same way. I think we see the Gator dominance on the glass and at the rim as we did in the first meeting. So yeah, I'm going Florida here. I think they get that revenge from a heartbreaking loss in overtime at Tuscaloosa. Next up, we go to Mountain West country for a couple games here. Matt, I'm going to go to you first on this one again. UNLV used to be my hometown school, but you have been the big run and rebel backer all season, all preseason. We got a little Nevada versus UNLV board bet going between the boys. San Diego State, a slight road favorite, -1.5 here, total 136.5. What are you seeing here? UNLV has been pretty good at home against the Mountain West big guns.
Yeah, they've just been good against good teams all year, right? Like the whole problem with UNLV is that they've, like New Mexico, we've seen recently at Air Force, just played with their food against bad teams. Like had they been more consistent at the beginning of the year, they'd probably be in a legit at-large case. But you walk into conference play 7-5 with losses to LMU. Florida State and Richmond aren't terrible losses, but obviously the opening loss to Southern is why they're where they are. Tough one there. But I think, Jim, honestly, it feels like an obvious spot to back a team at home that has big time talent. You could argue these talents are at par, if not better than the Aztecs, top to bottom. I do not trust UNLV though, Kai, at home in a spot where it feels like the game against was it Colorado State? No, Nevada, their last loss. It's just like they're there, they let it slip away. The more sound and more intelligent, the more veteran team out executes them in a close game, and they eventually let it slip away. So I think UNLV is my lean, but I just don't trust them, even though they have played well against good competition. And these kind of nip and tuck games against a better coached team, I kind of lean toward the road team here, as shocking as that sounds.
Yeah, I kind of tuned out, but we're realizing what run UNLV is on right now, right? They're 11-5 in Mountain West, 9-1 last 10, 8-2 against the spread last 10, 12-3 against the spread last 15. This team's been really good over the past month plus. The winner of this game breaks away into the third place group, I guess, or away from the third place group right behind Boise and Utah State. The key for UNLV, in my opinion, they have a couple bodies to throw at Ledee. The Boom Brothers. The Boom Brothers can at least somewhat match up with Ledee. San Diego State's lack of shooting can really stagnate their offense. That's a concern. UNLV's been really stout inside, although they have been foul prone, which is bad against San Diego State. On the other end though, it's kind of like Houston. San Diego State's defense is nails, man. I mean, they force turnovers. They don't yield much in the paint. UNLV's kind of in the same boat as San Diego State. They're not a great shooting team. They really need to score in the paint inside. I think that's a problem against San Diego State. I lean towards the Aztecs, Jim. I think it's a bit short on the line.
Okay. Yeah, I had a hard time with this one. I do think UNLV plays up really well. I mean, I mentioned their home results against the other big guns in the league. Beat New Mexico by 10, beat Colorado State by 6, lost to Utah State by 1, lost to Nevada by 3, and have not hosted Boise. So they've been, not out of any of those games, which makes me a little nervous to back the road team. But getting a couple of minutes from Isaiah Cottrell to go with the Boone brothers, yeah. You have to at least hurl fouls at Jaden Ledee, I guess, just kind of make him earn it at the stripe because he's too good of a scorer to just let him go to work over and over and over again. And San Diego State's guards are solid. They have the ability to get hot with Parrish, and Trammell and Butler hits big shots. So this is a stay away for me, despite I think the spot favoring UNLV slightly. Next up, Kai, back to you in the Mountain West. Boise State, Taco Bell Arena, or the artist formerly known as Taco Bell Arena. They should play on a blue court. It's a travesty that they don't. If their football team plays on a blue field, get your hoops team on a blue court. They're -5.5 against the aforementioned Wolfpack of Nevada. Total 142, right about in the middle there. Any takes for you on this game?
Worth noting, Boise can still win the Mountain West. And Nevada's resume looks pretty darn solid for the tournament. They have 6 losses all season. It's a pretty elite record Nevada's got. 24-6. The resume is beautiful. Boise, game 1, they won at Nevada by 8, controlled most of the way. There was no answer for Boise's bigs. The Wolfpack have good overall size. They lack somewhat the top end size, the size to stop Stanley, Dagenhart. Those two guys are no joke. They've been killing the league all season. I think they have an advantage against Nevada. Boise had 18 turnovers and still won that first game. They're usually not that loose with the ball. I think they get better in this one. No doubt Nevada tries to exploit that again, but I think it improves at home in their own arena. Wolfpack, Matt, always in the game with their shooting. That's part of the reason they've been so good this year. I kind of lean their way, keeping it semi-close within 5.5, but no strong take in the side here.
Well, yeah, shooting buoyed by, I guess, a two-part change there. No Blackshear. That's the only thing he really can't do. But then McIntosh has been in fuego since coming back and getting healthy. 18, 14, 12 points his last 3 games. Super efficient. He made 6 threes, 2 threes, and 4 threes against Fresno. So, yeah, that's a huge piece. I think against a Boise defense, you need to kind of loosen up a little bit. I think the better angle here is just Boise at home, the way they're playing. I still think Nevada got a little bit inflated for most of the season with some of their conference, the schedule, the way they caught teams when they played them. They're still very good. I trust their defense, but I don't trust it as much without Blackshear. I think it's a piece where you need him along with McIntosh as kind of a two-headed monster there to mix and match some matchups on D. I'm just going to take Boise here, Jim. No official play, but you got to get involved. I think you got to take the home team at TB Arena.
Yeah, I like Boise too. I think the Blackshear thing is an open question whether he plays. There's a chance he could get back for this one, but also maybe given the sterling resume that they have, just save him for conference tournament. Don't bring him back early, given that you're not quite locked for an NCAA tournament bid, but you're looking really, really good. If you have almost as many Q1 wins as total losses, you're in solid shape, and that's where Nevada's at right now. I'm with Kylo. The versatile front court, Degenhart, Stanley. I think that's a little bit tougher for Nevada to handle. Davidson's a terrific offensive player, but I don't view him as a shutdown defender. And the physicality of Boise's front line could be an issue. Matt, I was impressed with McIntosh, though, against.
Yeah, he looks good.
Which game I was watching Nevada. Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, that's the guy that was like a star for Elon as a freshman. And
yeah, they brought him to run the show 2 years ago, and then never was part of it.
Got hurt. So, yeah, lean Boise there. I would lean under, quite honestly. I think it'd be a slower game, Boise at home, but not a strong take on that. So only follow that if your gut already was screaming that direction. All right, let's get into Chat Mob Part 1. Make sure you hit the like button. We're answering your questions. Just throw us that little bone. Hit that thumbs up there. Kai, you are my czar. Tell us what we got.
Yep, and as a reminder, folks, check out the link in the description, the Circa giveaway. 3 free nights in Vegas, Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend. We're announcing the winner on Saturday. Put your name, email address in there. That's all you got to do. We'll be in Vegas. Hang out with us. Watch some games. Day bed, no minimum spend at a Stadium Swim, and a 3 free night stay. Pretty good deal from Circa. Again, link is in the description of the video. Please do sign up for that giveaway. Okay.
Yeah, only one entry per email, but you can put your mom's email in there. You can put your dad's email in there, your brother's email in there. Do it. Yeah.
Exactly. Wink. Game the system. Okay. Pat's got a few questions, and they're tournament related, and that should be the way it is, Matthew, because it's March, and we got Sunbelt action today. We got Louisiana Monroe, and we got Coastal Carolina. The Warhawks, Monroe, favored by 1.5, 2 out there in the market right now. Thoughts?
Yeah, laying points with Monroe doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies, but I do think this is a team that I profile as like, feel like they underachieved. They had moments throughout the year where they played well against good teams. They're not super deep, but they can board and they can defend. And they got some tough shot makers. I think they win this game today. I'm inclined to lay it. Coastal, I know, has played much better under Mr. Moss, got the interim boost there for a little bit. But I like Monroe here.
All right, we got, again from Pat, Jim, we're going A-Sun country. Stetson.
Oh.
Yes, Stetson against Queens. Queens off the win yesterday. Stetson is at home in this game, folks. Reminder to check the venues. Spreads come down? Or no, it's gone up a little bit to 5 right now. Stetson favored by 5.
I was hoping you'd just take all the ASUN stuff, Kai. That was my wish and my hope, but you're
Brother, I have no idea.
Queens won at Stetson earlier this year, or like 2 weeks ago. So maybe there's a little bit of confidence going into that. But I think the line also reflects a little bit of that back-to-back. The fact that Queens played yesterday and they're an up-tempo team. Perhaps they don't have quite the same legs in this one. But, man, Stetson's been really good. Gadaretse is kind of my boy under the radar big man for Stetson, and his emergence has been huge for them down the stretch to go with Blackman, Mr. Put Up 30 every single night. So I'm kind of staying away here, Kai, as we are wont to do in pretty much all ASUN games.
Yeah. But, Matt, how about the other one? Eastern Kentucky and Jacksonville. Do you have an opinion in this one? Jacksonville, 13 for 21 from 3 last night, despite being the worst three-point shooting team in the conference. They upset
Yes,
Kennesaw State. They're a 9-point dog, 8.5-point dog to EKU, at EKU.
I kind of like Jacksonville. I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to shoot 13 of 21 from three again, but they do have size, and I think in a game it's going to be pretty helter skelter. 9 feels like a lot. I mean, Eastern Kentucky, I know profiles is a good favorite with how they pressure. They haven't beaten teams consistently by margin. The decent to better teams in that league, they kind of let teams hang around. They don't make free throws all that well, especially a couple of known associate usual suspects there. I kind of like the points with Jacks.
All righty, let's go to Will and Robert Morris and Purdue Fort Wayne. You know what? Back to Matt for the Horizon question here.
Sure.
Matt, is this the biggest 8-9 spread variance we've ever seen? It's double digits. I think it's a neutral floor, isn't it?
Stat Boy's off today. No, these are all on the home
campus
floors of the highest seed. Yeah, and Purdue Fort Wayne has 2 home gyms. I forgot to check which one. I kind of like looking into that. But either way, Robert Morris, man, what a corpse they've been. I feel bad for Andy Toole. I just feel like that roster and that team has sort of disintegrated the last few weeks. They have more talent than how they played it. Maybe they give one last valiant effort here, but I'm not enthusiastic to take 11 with a team that may be done for the year.
All right, Jim, let's go non-tournament question here. Big East, Georgetown. That's right, Georgetown is playing today. They're hosting Providence. Providence, a team that desperately needs to win this game for tournament reasons. Providence lands 7.5, 8 on the road.
It's a little high for me to lay with Providence, not like a road favorite team in my perception. It's usually Devin Carter making big shots to hang around better teams, but they have struggled lately. And they've come back down to earth. I think the Corey Floyd, Rich Barron, like star turns have faded out a little bit. Georgetown, though, is like kind of feel like might have quit on the year. I don't know. I lean Georgetown here taking the points. I just don't want to lay it with Providence, but it's not like I'm amped to bet the Hoyas.
From Julian, Matt, and a couple guys in the chat, actually, Liberty at Middle Tennessee. Liberty laying 5 on the road. Thoughts?
Kind of like middle. Been a little better at home. Playing a little better lately. But again, one of these conferences where it's just been very tough to very volatile, but the home team has had a pretty strong edge for these, again, new conference, realignment, new travel situations, a team that historically plays well at home, Middle Tennessee. I like getting 5 there against the Flames.
From Jeffrey, I will take this one. Another A-Sun, Austin P, North Florida. P -3. I lean towards P. I haven't seen one person on North Florida, so red flag. North Florida, 55% three-point attempt rate. Yes, that's a correct stat. By far the highest in the country. It's feast or famine. If they're hitting, P's not going to win. DeMarcus Sharp was out for the first game. They still won in double overtime. They have the best individual playmaking backcourt in the conference. I think that means a lot in March. And also Cy with their big guy has been pretty darn good lately. Lean towards P at -3. Famous last words.
I bet P to win the tournament. 7 or 8. I got 8-1 yesterday.
Yeah, it's a popular pick, Jim. So we'll hope we hope they beat North Florida at least for you. Okay, you get Texas State and Old Dominion. Texas State land 3 in the Sun Belt tournament.
Excellent. Little Action Network best bet for me here. I am on Texas State. I think Old Dominion's just kind of done. I mean, perhaps you could view it as a reset on their regular season where they're the second worst ATS team in the entire country and struggled quite a bit since Jeff Jones had his heart attack and ended up having to retire. But they've covered one of their last 8 games. Like, it's just clearly they're limping to the finish line. I don't believe in it's a really high isolation rate team against a Texas State team that's like a shell defensively. They force you to hit jump shots over the top. So unless a bunch of really tough shots go in for Old Dominion, I think Texas State's a good bet there. And as Matt pointed out to us, Texas State beat Old Dominion 65-36 last year in the conference tournament. I think we see kind of a revisiting of those demons.
All right, and finally, Dylan, North Alabama Lipscomb total. I actually liked the over in this one. Spread, I kind of lean towards the Lions at 7.5. Lipscomb's at home, very good team. Fellas, if you have a strong opinion, jump in. Otherwise, we can go back to part 2 of the rundown.
I disavow the A-Sun. Yeah. I disavow the A-Sun.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sounds good. All right, Jim, back to you.
Back to the outline we go. Thank you, chat mob. We're going to the Big 12 for a couple games here. Cincinnati at Oklahoma to start it. Matt, these are your Bearcats, but they have not quite inserted themselves into the NCAA tournament picture. Got a nice win over K-State. Jerome Tang said that's an NCAA tournament team about Cincinnati, but unfortunately, Mr. Tang is not on the committee, so he will not be able to contribute to that discussion. Yeah. But Oklahoma laying 5.5 at home. They've already won at Cincinnati. Do they complete the sweep, sir?
I don't love laying 6 with a 5.5, 6 with OU. Just doesn't feel right to me. Off that awesome effort against Houston. I feel like that could be a spiritually crippling bounce back situation though, right? Like you basically had that game tied at Houston, the shed crazy putback. That win probably gets you in the tournament safely. And then now you got to come back and play, 3 days later against a good Cincinnati team, but a team you probably aren't taking as seriously because you already beat them on their home floor. Gut leans to OU. I just don't like this Cincy team right now, Kai. I'm kind of selling my Cincy shares, but I'm not laying 5.5 with OU either for that spot reason.
Yeah, both teams looking to stay afloat in the middle of the conference. Cincy obviously playing for their tournament lives. They've been pretty good on the road in Big 12 play. Texas Tech, BYU, UCF, they beat them outright. That's not nothing. OU won game 1 by just 4. OU's not flashy. They just don't make mistakes. They protect the glass. That's the key. Best defensive rebounding team in the league against Cincy, who's been the best offensive rebounding team in the conference. Yes, even better than Houston. Kind of crazy in Big 12 play. They just take advantage of mismatches so well, Oklahoma does, when they see them. That's Porter Moser, fantastic coach. Jim, I think the spread feels a bit high. The talent gap isn't very much here. And Cincy's poor ball handling really won't be exploited against Oklahoma, I lean towards Cincinnati.
Yeah, I lean Cincinnati too, getting the points. I think no Hughley matters considering the incredible Cincinnati offensive rebounding and how they can smash you inside. Godwin's a nice former walk-on story, but I don't know that he measures quite up to the Cincinnati front line. Weird Oklahoma game over the weekend, like a 1.3 points per possession shootout with Houston. Didn't really understand why that happened. Maybe some small ball from Houston. Kai, we had a little internal discussion about that, but that's neither here nor there. Getting the points to Cincinnati makes a little more sense to me. I don't think they have given up on the at-large hope. Obviously, the win over the weekend indicates that. I think they compete, can possibly win and stay within the number there. So Cincinnati for me as well. Kai, the other Oklahoma school hosting a game is the Cowboys, Gallagher-Iba Arena, a shell of itself in terms of a home venue, invincible, tough place to play. Texas Tech is now a road favorite there, -2.5 for the Red Raiders. Injury questions still abound there with Warren Washington. Both teams have been bad against the spread in this scenario, like Texas Tech bad on the road, Oklahoma State bad at home. Which way are you looking between these two?
Yeah, no pushover, I still think, for Oklahoma State, despite being 4-12. I still think the home court matters here. I know it's not been quite the same per reports. Texas Tech really smoked them in game 1. Won by 17. It's a really tough matchup for Oklahoma State. They can't shoot. They have to score inside or at the free throw line. Texas Tech packs it in, no middle. They don't foul. Now, without Warren Washington, that might change a little bit, of course, but I still think the scheme is there. I still think it's a big problem that Oklahoma State can't really shoot. Their defense also just hasn't been the norm this year, Matt, under Mike Boynton. Second worst in the Big 12. I think Tech can surgically pick them apart. I lean towards Texas Tech at -2.5.
I guess I do too. I'm sort of in the keep Texas Tech on my back burner on the sideline until they get a fully healthy roster. And I see what that roster looks like with Washington back at full strength and all that. So I just can't trust them. I think you have the right lean. But this is another pretty easy stay away from me. These late season conference matchups with some moving parts in personnel, I think they're easy passes. You just don't know what you're getting from either side.
Valid, Matthew. Valid. I kind of lean Texas Tech. It's just a gut sense there, but I also leaned their way when they went on the road to UCF and got absolutely smacked around. So take that with the largest grain of salt. Next up in the ACC, Clemson and Syracuse in the battle of the color orange. The Orange Tigers won at the Orange earlier this season. Big one for Clemson. But man, Kai, Syracuse not dead in the at-large conversation. No. If they pull up a road win here, their resume metrics are going to look fantastic, like probably very at-large worthy if they get this one. They are getting 9.5 points here, though, so not expected for them to get the victory. I kind of think Syracuse hangs around, but I hate backing this team on the road. So you talk me one way or the other.
Yeah, resume metrics are right there for the tournament, which is crazy. Their predictive suck. So if they do make the tournament, it's definitely first 4. A win here puts them dangerously close. Also puts them in at least 4th place for the ACC, which is crazy. They've won 4 in a row. We know Clemson's locked for the dance, but their ACC seed is still very much fluctuating. No lack of motivation here for them. You mentioned, perhaps you didn't, but Clemson did win game 1 here. Joe Girard smoked his former team. I don't think Syracuse realized Girard could shoot. Yeah, that's on them. They didn't have the scouting report on him, guys. Maybe they will in game 2. Clemson, 21 turnovers, still won that game. That's crazy to me. I don't think they turn the ball over like that again. But the way Syracuse is playing, Matt, the talent is young, but it's absolutely there. The spread feels mega high. It's hard to trust them to win outright against a veteran Clemson team. This is top 25 experience versus nearly 300 in experience. That the age difference is big. But I do lean towards Syracuse keeping it within the number. Again, hard to trust.
No, I do too. It's their last game of the year. Like you got that weight game lurking for Clemson this Saturday, and I think the current form is real. I kind of thought it would go the other way a couple weeks ago. That was a head scratching loss to, I guess it was the Clemson. Then they rose for UNC, and then they laid that egg at Georgia Tech. And I think Autry really was under fire after that loss. Georgia Tech's really been struggling, but then since then they've responded. So I'm kind of back in on this Syracuse team, sort of still scarred from some awful non-conference and early conference non-covers in which they should have covered, but then just blew late game situations and made me want to throw this team out of window. But I like what they're playing right now. I kind of think nine's too many.
Matt, is Malik Brown on your Know Your Role All-Stars? Just
yes.
Like,
this team has a couple
shoots,
of Know Your Role All-Stars. Ever since Benny Williams has been kind of cast aside, Malik Brown stuff. So I like it. I like the fit.
Yeah, and it just seemed like McLeod was helpful to have a guy that huge, but it almost seems like the lineup fits better, and they have a little bit more of a identity now with Brown manning the center spot.
Yeah, I like the roster. Like the fit.
Oh yeah, I lean towards the dog there. Clemson has been kind of up and down, and almost better on the road than they have been at home. So I am definitely a Syracuse guy in that one. Finally, last one on the outline, guys. I selfishly shoehorned this one into the outline because I will be in attendance at South Florida tonight. Me and my pops are getting in the house. South Florida also kind of a firebrand in the college basketball world right now. Are they good? Are they bad? Do they deserve to be in the tourney? Aaron Torres says they're a lock, and it's a travesty and a sham of the net system that South Florida's not in. But you lose at home to Maine, you lose at home to Central Michigan, and suddenly your resume struggles a little bit. Matthew, the Bulls are they're laying 7 at home against Tulane. This is the first meeting between these two this year. South Florida just clinched outright number 1 seed last game. Is there a little bit of a letdown coming against the Green Wave? You tell me.
Yeah, I think there is. I think it's a nip and tuck game, but I don't know. It's not like it's a huge spread 7, right? And Tulane has been on bodies all year. They played pretty well as a dog. It's the record. I can't make sense of it. I know they've had some injuries, and the lack of depth has really torpedoed them because of that. But I do feel like they'll play well tonight, especially with that letdown spot for the Bulls. I'd like to get 8. Just feels like 8 feels like the number I want to hop in, but 7, I still lean that way, Kai, toward our wave.
Yeah, don't mention Torres on this show, Jim. Torres is the biggest fool in the college basketball community.
Wow.
He's horrible.
Ooh,
I can't believe he has a job in
Strays.
talking about college basketball. South Florida, yeah, they've won 14 in a row, longest in the nation. I don't get it. I'll be honest. I've watched this team a lot. They're really good, really well coached, great individual players. I don't think they are run away with the American good. We've talked about unbalanced scheduling. That clearly helps. Second best ATS team in the country, though, right? So, shut me up. 18-6-3. They have the marks from an ATS and a straight-up perspective that says they're good. I still think Tulane is really good, despite their ugly record. Matt, you mentioned it. How are they 4-11, 4-12 in this league? I don't understand. They're a much better team than that, in my opinion. South Florida's regression hasn't happened yet from the shooting perspective. Still number 1 in 3-point percentage on offense and defense. Unfortunately, Tulane doesn't do much to deter that. They're going to zone. South Florida's going to get looks from the perimeter. We've seen teams do that against Tulane all season. So if they're hitting, Tulane probably struggles in this game, and they don't box out. You got to hope that South Florida's not extra aggressive on the glass tonight. I actually do lean towards Tulane, +7. I'm scared of Jim being in the building. The juice for South Florida is going to be real. And they're excellent against the spread at home. I just don't think these teams are that far apart. So lean towards Tulane +7.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they're far apart, and Tulane has not quit. I mean, they got down 19 or something against Florida Atlantic, came all the way back, made it a 6-point game. Clearly not rolling over. Ron Hunter is a great coach. And I think that letdown angle could be a little bit real for South Florida. Like we just smoked Charlotte at Charlotte with our last huge test of the year. Come home and maybe it's just not quite there. But Abdur-Rahim is a terrific coach, terrific motivator. They were awesome against the spread at home at Kennesaw when he was there. They're great against the spread at home now in league play at South Florida. But typically they've just been awesome, like winning games that are pick 'em -2, whatever. Now it's laying 7 at home. I'm not quite sure I'm there on this team. They'll probably win, but I think Tulane's just feisty and hangs around, makes this one a bit of a scrap. And being in the house, I will probably bet a little on Tulane, the Green Wave.
Tulane best
All
bet.
right.
Good for you.
Tulane best bet.
There we go.
For you.
Sneak
Go
it in
for it.
there.
Yep.
Oh boy.
+7. Is that the official line of record?
You know what? Is there 7.5 out there, Jim? Let me see real quick.
You tell me what Circa Sports has, Kai. No, we can.
There's
we can shop
it's
around.
actually 7.5 across the board. So I'll take 7.5. Thank you. Tulane.
7.5.
+7.5.
All
Yep.
right, there you go.
Cool.
Okay, let's get back to Chat Mob. Remember, hit the like. Remember to fill out the Google form in the contest in the link to this video or on our Twitter. Check that out. Kai, what other questions do we have?
We're doing the Arch Baron Cup, Jim. Dayton at SLU. Dayton's laying 9 on the road. SLU clearly not very interested in college basketball anymore. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think did Weiro get banged up last game for SLU, and I think he's rather important to try to compete with Holmes inside.
And Parker not 100% healthy either. That was a weird situation too. I couldn't get a read on that. There's been no reporting on SLU. Everyone's kind of given up, like, this season's done, and there's no information.
Yeah, I think that's very true. But SLU kind of competed at Dayton in the first one. It's a big rivalry. Like, if they're going to get up for one more game this year, this is it. And Dayton hasn't been playing all that well lately, but I'm staying away. I don't want to bet on SLU, so no thanks.
All right, next one here from Tim. Jim, I'm going back to you because you're a Patriot guy. Loyola Maryland and Navy. I actually haven't checked the spread on this one. I know it's a 7-10 matchup. Navy's laying 7.5 even against Loyola Maryland. Thoughts?
I had a weird, like, you said I'm a Patriot guy. I was like, New England? No. George Mason? No. Oh, the league. Got it. Okay. I finally know what you're talking about. A little bit of a lean to the under. I know Deion Perry came back for Loyola Maryland, and I got burned with my under best bet on Saturday, but I still think that's the way to go in a lot of these Patriot games with the inferior competition and offensive talents and players. Spread-wise, feels a tad high, but Loyola Maryland's been bad of late, so I just don't want to lay 7 points with Navy. I don't think they have the offense to feel confident doing that. So if anything on this game, it would be the under for me.
Matthew, you get Ole Miss and Georgia. 2-point spread in this one. I think Georgia's favored. Check me on that.
Yeah, laying 2.
Georgia's laying 2.5 now. Thoughts on this one?
Number feels right. I cannot trust Ole Miss away from home. I just haven't all year, and I think they've sort of plateaued. I think they have some real issues with shot selection. I've noticed in the last few weeks, I think the shot quality data bears it out. Too many mid-rangers. And why they give up the percentages they do at the rim with 2 just freakonomic shot blockers also perplexes me. So yeah, I lean Ole Miss, but my concerns were just cited. I am not betting it.
All right, Jim, you get Kansas, K-State. The Jayhawks looking for a little revenge from Larry here. KU laying 11 at home. Thoughts?
Yeah, Kansas hasn't been awesome laying numbers at home, but I think they just play much better here. Obviously had the road loss at Baylor over the weekend. McCullough at least got out there and looked somewhat healthy. I would imagine he'll give it a go again in a big rivalry game. K-State, feisty under Tang, but man, the talent gap is large in the starting lineup here. So I kind of lean Kansas, which feels strange to me, but I think they could get some real Momo going with that crowd against their rival that they almost don't call a rival. I don't know.
They're stuck up. Matthew, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest. ACC action. Wake Forest is reeling. They need to hang on for the tournament. 13.5-point favorites against Georgia Tech.
High with KU shade for minus 10,000. Cash those tickets. And I like Wake quite a bit here. Minus 13.5 is a big number for a coach and David Stoudemire that I think we like as a dog. But I don't know, this version's a little bit brittle. I think there's too many young pieces and just sort of let's throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks against a Wake team that's awesome at home and needs to win and will be locked in today for sure.
I'm stepping in there, Kai. Best bet Wake minus 13.5.
Okay.
They
kind of agree
off 2 losses on the road. I think they pull their we win by 35 when we win. I think they obliterate Georgia Tech.
Jim, we got to talk Toledo for our boy Ed in the chat. They're laying 2 on the road at Miami of Ohio, but it looks like Ed, who I don't think has ever been wrong about a Toledo game, likes Miami of Ohio in this game, or at least leans that way. Your thoughts?
I kind of agree with him. I don't want to take Travis Steele against Todd Kowalczyk. That doesn't feel good, but I think Ted would acknowledge that Toledo has not been playing well lately, like kind of under the radar, sneaky. They lost at home to Northern Illinois. They're not that sharp against Buffalo over the weekend. I kind of pick up what he's putting down there, that the team is faded a small bit. And if it wasn't for the coaching matchup, I'd probably emphatically say Miami of Ohio.
All right, Matt, last one here from the Paris, Vermont, New Hampshire. Interesting little game here. Not the America East tournament yet. Vermont's laying 9.5 on the road.
I like over, if anything. 141.5 feels a little bit low. I know New Hampshire's been running and gunning. Vermont seems to handshake into that type of style when they match up with the right teams in that league. 9 on the side feels a little high, but I don't know. The Catamounts are always just a little better than I give them credit for against conference foes, so I'm probably the loser on that one.
All right. That does it for Chat Mob, guys. Let's go to best bets. I'm going to hand it to Jim. I think he's already said his, but a little recap for you guys.
Yep, only going with 2 today, but I have said both of them over in the Purdue-Illinois game, 164. I think the efficiency is just through the roof in that one, and Illinois' pace pushing will at least get it going. Only concern there would be Purdue slowing it down, but I don't think that happens. And then the other one, Wake Forest, minus 13.5 in a big home smash spot against Georgia Tech. Wake off 2 losses, needing to continue to try to impress the committee with eye tests, because that's all they have right now. They have eye test and predictive metrics. So they got to keep those strong. Those are my 2. Matthew, what do you got?
I have 1. I have the Ooey Pooey Jaguars of Naptown, Matty Crenshaw, and the crew. They've covered 3 in a row, Jimbo Fisher. Don't you laugh now. And
You're
in their
sick.
last 2
You are
conference
sick.
tournament games, which is last 2 years, they lost both times in the first round. 2-0 against the spread, covering by 10 points. They covered easily the last 2 years. Same story as last year. They were playing better down the stretch. And it's like, oh, wow, look at IUPUI. They're competitive. And we thought they'd be good this year. They haven't been. But now we're saying the same thing again. They've been competitive. Ooh, last 3 games. And then they play Cleveland State, a team they've lost to by 9, both at home and on the road. Now they're catching 16 in a quick turnaround revenge spot. I just think that's too many. I think it's close, competitive. Cleveland State's got to play 2 days later anyway. So I think there's some foot off the brake if Cleveland State does get up doubles early.
And then my best bet, guys, the Tulane Green Wave. Feel the wave. Plus 7.5 at South Florida. Scary, but I think they can hang around. Ron Hunter, the man doesn't quit. Great coach, doesn't quit. Okay, Jim, close us out. Good show. Back tomorrow.
Yes, great show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Another show coming at you tomorrow, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern. Looking forward to it. Chat Mob, be back right on your A game just like today. Remember, again, check out that link for the Circa show. Tell one friend today, if you're watching and you're listening to this, tell one friend to enter it and get their first name, last name, email address in there. We would appreciate that greatly. All right, folks, we will see you again tomorrow.